really good. Who dares stream without getting at? Who dares stream without getting at? Who dares stream without getting at? Who dares stream without getting at?
Yo, what it do, people? What it do? We are ready to start another version of the Who Dare Stream with Talking Ass Show. I just love the theme song, bro.
Yeah, man.
It gets the people going.
And I saw someone comment that it reminded them of, I think, an old British show. But now it escapes me off the top of my head what they mentioned. But I figured I should bring it to the table because you probably would remember the show. It was something from back in the 70s.
Why you got to be like that?
Straight off the top.
Maybe Paul would remember. Actually, the only old school British shows I used to watch religiously because they used to show it here in the U.S. was Fawlty Towers, Blackadder, and of course the GOAT, Benny Hill. Benny Hill was like, oh my God, I love that show so much. Family, today, there's an old school song from like, let's call it late 80s. And it was Houdini, and the song was, when you going to get to the good part? This is it. This is the good part. Today, we're going to dive into Capsho. I am super, super excited about this because Paul said I kind of remember the 70s. Actually, the reason why I forgot most stuff from the 70s, Paul, is because the 80s. I'll let you figure that out. Benny Hill. Yes, there we go. ¿Cómo está? ¿Cómo está? Hello, mommy. Good to see you. So we are going to do Capsho today. And Capsho is something I use a lot, especially for my Creators Unstuck show. And this is going to be amazing, amazing. Hello, Bonfire. Good to see you here. That's my new name for Bon, is Bonfire.
Bonfire, okay, I like it.
I just make up my own nicknames for people because then it's just, I never can forget it because I made it up. This is going to be absolutely dope, family. So if you haven't already, make sure, you're signed up and ready to play around. Marion just did so. Thank you, Marion. Good to see you. That's what I'm talking about, right? There's a couple key elements that you have to set up in order to make it function for you. And for me, it's funny because actually I was just talking about this beforehand. When I did my persona setup, which we'll show you in a second, I actually did use ChatGPT to help me do my persona setup way the heck back when I first started Capsho, like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. So I'm like, I was just thinking I should build a new persona. I wonder if I've changed anything or done anything differently. So this would be a good exercise. I was going to say exercise in futility, but no, it actually works. It's pretty phenomenal. I was always mind blown by what it comes up with. So when you get your screen share ready, Ash will pop up and we'll go over there. And then quick reminder, I got reminder from the reminder bosses. Don't forget, people, the drawing is going to be on Friday stream. I think that's tomorrow. Yes, it is tomorrow. I have no idea what day it is because I've been hella busy packing because I'm leaving Saturday morning for Mexico. So I've been just crazy packing and rearranging things and getting all set up. Okay, so we got Ash's screen going. Let me make sure that that's added properly to the old cams of E. I will do a live demo mode just to show you guys how to make sure that your guest screen share is functioning correctly. So I'm going to go here, and then at the top, remember in the Zoom area, I'm going to go ahead and assign this to a placeholder. So I have been using the screen share as guest 2, and then I have a scene. Did I break the scene? Where did I put it? I put it here. Nope. I forgot where I put it. Oh, there you go. There you go. It's this gallery. There you go. Nice. Let me move this in the right spot and properly size it. There we go. And then I'll make this bigger for you guys. The reason why it looks odd is because I have it on my teleprompter. And as you guys know, the Elgato teleprompter is not 16 by 9. It's some other weird shape. Elgato, I have no idea what the heck you guys are doing, but don't do that. So there we go. Now we make it much embiggened for you guys. All right, now we should work. And that's about right. All right, cool. Let's get after it. And we'll do what Katie said and grab the old option bar and crop and then move it back up. All right, let's go in. All right, Ash, talk to us about what we're doing today. This is so cool.
All right. So as Doc said, that's it. Doc, you're well versed in this and you've been playing around and you've been using Capsho now for like right almost from the beginning.
Yeah.
And even when you said that, I was like, man, yeah, you would have set up a persona before we even had like some help there. So we'll cover that off in a moment. But I'd say before with everybody who is I guess quite new to this. As Marianne said, like go get your trial. Now is the time to set it up. It's all free to get in there and be able to play around with it. But I think the big part with this is to kind of set it is if you love live streaming, like I guess now like the last 3 days, it's all been about seeing Ecamm for me and almost understanding the power and what like live streaming can do for me. Now I know a bunch of people on here well versed with that. Like the questions they've been asking you at a level where I'm thinking, you know what? I just need to get into Ecamm and just like play around with it more simply. And Capsho, I think, is the same way. And I think a lot of softwares are that, where you'll come in and there's a lot
Agree.
you can do if this is completely brand new to you and you don't do a lot of like repurposing. Like Doc, you said you go live 6 days a week, right? Like you love talking into the big stick. That doesn't leave as much time to do all of the other great fun stuff. And that's where Capture comes in to help you out with that, because what you love to do is get on here live, engage with the audience. And I imagine a lot of people are that way inclined.
Yeah, and man, you just nailed something really, really important. I want everybody to understand that. The more time that you can work with engaging with your audience, the better your connection with your audience is. But that definitely does take away from the time it takes to do all the repurposing. And so all my marketing buddies, they would just do these shows that like it's 45 minutes to an hour. And I was like, y'all were just getting to the good part. Why did you cut it off? And like, why is everybody so stern about nailing that hour? Well, I think it's because they are so strapped for time that they need time to do all of the other weird marketing stuff. And I'm like, you guys are doing it the wrong way. You got that triangle inversed. So you're spending 3 hours creating all the repurposable stuff, but you're doing your show in 45 minutes because you quote unquote don't have time. You'd be better off to inverse that, spend 3 hours with your audience, connecting, glad handing, sharing stories, letting people know who you are, letting them shine, and then only spend 45 minutes doing the marketing stuff. Bring in Capsho.
And that's it. And I look at myself and I already we've established I'm not a live streamer, so I don't go live in this way. And then I think as a result, I don't watch lives. I don't watch lives after the fact. And but it's because I you don't have that connection with your end content creator. Whereas if I came across that content kind of downstream somewhere else, it might be a blog. I might be looking for, hey, how to use Ecamm. I see the blog, it links to your content on YouTube. I then start to find it that way. Love what Doc's doing. All of a sudden, now I'm showing up to the live. So again, it's that entry point and coming in and being able to be discovered, still from the highest content there being the engaged with your audience live stream. So I just wanted to preface that if you're kind of brand new to this, don't be overwhelmed by all of it. We're just going to focus today on how to get set up and really then the titles and description. So how you're kind of being able to take what you've created, get that out onto YouTube, as Doc said, the preferred platform of choice here. And then there'll be a bunch of other stuff, but we'll cover that tomorrow. So we're going to cover all that off tomorrow. We'll just nail down the essentials. Whereas
Cool.
if you're well versed with all of this, you know, this is more an efficiency play. If you're on all these platforms, look at this to go, okay, how do you then, as Doc said, cut it down even further? All All right. So when you start, I've got a couple files here. This will be all blank for you. Essentially, what it will ask you to do is to upload your file. So obviously, when you're recording there in Ecamm, and I guess, Doc, if there are any questions you need me to answer, because I've got that little Zoom window tiny on the left, I can't see anything. So
Don't
just
worry,
let me know if there's
I'll speak them out.
sweet. Um, you know, the recording that you've done on Ecamm, save locally, or if you've already got it up on YouTube, it's unlisted or it's already live and you want to kind of go in and update it, you just have to hit that little upload new file button, drag and drop, or click open, be able to select your file. Or we do have the ability to paste your YouTube link here. So what you would do, just as a matter of quick one, what I did was I went, grabbed our shows from the last 2 days, cut just the nonsensical Who Dares streams fake show part, and essentially you would upload it. I'm not going to kind of like, oh, actually, no, I will show you this because this is what Doc was talking about. When you are uploading your file for the first time, it asks you this kind of question is like, is it for your own channel? Or I think we dealt with a lot of people who do a lot of guesting on shows. So it does have the ability to kind of help you if you're being the interviewee and the guest, but
Oh my
we'll ignore
God.
that for now.
I've never
So,
used it for the times I'm guest on another show. I'm guest all the time.
yeah. And that's the
So
thing. And you don't do much with it. If you
yeah.
create all that great guest material, but a lot of the time it lives with, again, the owner of the show. Always great to go, hey, give me that or get it off YouTube and then repurpose it for your own self, because it very much focuses on the guest content essentially. So that would be you, all the great stuff that you're talking. But let's focus for host right now. So you click on that, and Doc was saying the drop down there asks you to select a persona. So that's pretty much what starts and drives all of your content here. And the beauty of it is really what we wanted to focus with Capsho is how do you get away from really just generic sounding AI content where everything is out there? There's, and it hopefully has become better, but there's the delves and the treasure troves and all of those things that start to pop up that you 100% know someone hasn't tweaked their content straight out of AI. And so what Persona does is it allows you to teach Capsho who you are, what you do, and who your target audience is. So I've set up one for myself, but when you click on it, you can see here, you can set your nickname. So that's just kind of what you want to remember it by. But then it asks you to describe yourself. What is it essentially that you do in this case? So what your service, product is, who you think your audience is, and ultimately what is the goal that they're looking for. So that way you can see all the content is going to be very personalized to your situation versus having a more generic lens. Now, you mentioned, Doc, here at this stage, you set this up a long time ago.
Yep.
And you could give it a refresh. Probably at the time, like, and what you mentioned like later on around like you see this screen and you've got to fill it in and it can be tough. Like you've got to fill in these 4 boxes. You might have had a tendency to just kind of copy and paste this into ChatGPT. We all do that. Like that's becomes like so ingrained in our flows. If you are starting here, just have a look at this little pop-up on the right. There's a little link here that says click here. When you do that, it will link you out to Capsho, a persona generator. And all you have to do is paste in your bio here and it will fill in the sections for you. So then you essentially will get the part 1, part 2, part 3, just a quick copy and paste into these sections. So we've just tried to simplify it a little bit like that. So yeah, so Doc, chuck in your latest bio into this and set up a new persona for yourself 100%.
Oh, I'm doing it now.
So when then you fill this in, then you can choose your tone of voice. Let me just add some of these. Okay, so I'm not going to recommend this, but I'm just going to fill in the boxes for now. Get on to next. Then it will ask you to choose your tone of voice. There is a card on the left here that says generic, and then it has a drop down and you can pick, some standard default built in. That gets you going faster, but at the same time, it definitely doesn't give you the quality once you get going, and your content very much will sound still less like you. So we'd very much recommend clicking on train your own, and this will pop up and it allows you to just copy and paste in examples of what you do. It could be emails, it could be social media, it could be YouTube descriptions, it could be blog posts. I'd almost recommend whatever your platforms are, whatever you think your most natural voice is, where you believe your brand, your content voice is, however you like to be seen or show up, that's what you essentially want to kind of paste in here. It can give you up to 10 pieces, but I'd recommend at least five. Like if you've just got five, five examples is more than enough. So you just kind of hit add these entries, get five open, and then just copy and paste into these boxes here, and then you'll be able to save. Only thing I would recommend if you are using social media, just don't include the hashtags. That won't add any benefit. And yeah, if you like emojis, keep them in there. It'll definitely recognize that. So that's how to get set up. Are you a big emoji guy, Doc?
Yeah. My team will tell you the kid is about those moj.
But do you have certain ones? Do you have like this particular personal style where you're going, hey, look, this is Doc emoji style versus?
I have three, and Paul and Luis could tell you what they are just as fast as I can. It's the shaka, and then the rolling on the floor, laughing straight and sideways. That's basically my emojis. Well, then in the sweary one.
Well, there you go. So like you put that in there, then we would be able to learn exactly, hey, look, these are Doc's go-tos because they come up in every example.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then that would come through in the learning. So set your persona up like this, and that gets you going in that first upload. So this will be the only time you have to do it. Take that little bit of time up front. Once it's locked in, that's now your persona you can use every single time. So I'm just going to...
Sorry, I was adding a file.
No, it's all good. I was just like, man, you got really excited for that when we're about to start. I was like, geez. And so what you've done then is you'll see in this drop down, probably it might be processing it because it's just kind of learning your tone of voice. That only takes about a minute or so. Once it's up and running, now you're able to select, in my case, Ash Clark. So it knows now to apply all of that good stuff to the content. If you have a guest on the show, you can toggle that on. Obviously, Doc, let's say, was my guest on this show. And then if you have a standard intro, and I don't know, you might use this, Doc. I don't know if you do. If you have a standard intro and you want to ignore that, you can reference. So like, I guess our like who dares streams with Doc and Ash, that might play for a minute and a half. You don't want that to be included in your transcript. You can toggle that on and you can just reference how long the intro goes for to kind of like knock that out of consideration. Hit save, and your file will then begin uploading and kind of preparing itself. So I'm just going to pop out of that. And then what you'll see here is the files will then start getting loaded on your Marketing Studio dashboard. While they're processing, they'll kind of live up here and it will show you all the uploads that are in upload stage essentially before you've essentially got to the good stuff. So I've got one here that is waiting to get going. And then once you've kind of completed that task, they'll move into ready to edit. And that's when you can kind of click into the good stuff and really get into the nitty gritty of repurposing your content.
Okay, Marianne said she had added video links and it didn't say there was an error. So I'm wondering if it read it from it or is my persona not complete? What do you mean? Because like it basically converts the audio from your file to start there. And then
is she saying, sorry, in the persona drop, she dropped video links into the persona tone of voice or?
Yeah, that's a good question. Did you drop those video links into the persona tone of voice or did you just drop it into like Capsho directly? My brain almost said Camtasia, which is a completely different software and I haven't used it in like 10 years.
I was going to say. I've never heard of Camtasia. A good name.
It's a screen capturing software. Yes, in the persona tone of voice. I thought you were doing tone of voice like in the Australian accent, the way you did it. Marianne's from Australia.
Oh yes, you've been chatting with Bonner. Bonner was telling me that she was chatting. You're getting started.
Dude,
that's good.
Awesome.
Fellow Aussie.
She's like
man,
the
must
all-star
be early.
Ecammer.
What time is it? It's like 2 or 3 in the morning or something.
I heard Lala been waking up at like early in the morning to come to class.
Okay, so if I go back into it, so if I'm creating my new persona, and sorry, Marianne, if you let us know, so like All of this is really, yeah, you definitely want the content. So if you were putting any links into this, oh my gosh. So for example, this right here is the actual content. So if you're putting a link to a social media post, it's not going to read that. It's going to think that the content is a link. So you can kind of go back, create your own persona, like another persona, and then just kind of copy and paste the actual email content or the social media content or the description from the YouTube video. So hopefully that answers your question.
One
But
thing
let
that
me
I
know.
just did, I'm it's actually thinking right now, is it's been a while since I updated the bio. So I legit just told ChatGPT, create a bio for me, and then take a look at my latest videos on my YouTube channel, and I gave it the link to my channel, and see if there's any
Yeah.
useful information there. And then it's thinking. And so the key to that is in ChatGPT. I think you might need to have Pro for this. I forget. You want to use the O3 model because the O3 model thinks. The 4.0 model, and yes, their names are stupid. The 4.0 model does think, but you would probably have to hit the search or deep research in order to get the best results. But if you're unsure about your bio, you haven't written one in a while, but you've created a bunch of content, just make a bio for you.
Yeah.
Then you can
That's
paste that in the
it's
persona.
exactly. It's the easiest way. And like, I mean, hopefully everyone has like some content. And that's as I was saying, like that's the thing. It's just like whatever your natural like voice sounds like. So even if you've created something and you've never posted it, but you're like, this is what I would post, like that still is good enough because that's all that you're trying to show it in terms of how you like to write and how you like to show up in that form. So
Yeah.
even sometimes I'll
And
get
just so you guys
ChatGPT to
can
mock up some
understand,
stuff.
here I'm gonna do something real quick, just so you can understand that this absolutely works. So there's my prompt. It wasn't complicated at all. My prompt simply said, "Create a bio for me. Take a look at the latest videos on my channel. See if there's any useful information." I read that fast because I already said that. It says, "Doc Rock is a Honolulu-based content creation coach, live streamer, and veteran, former broadcast engineers whose mission is to help a billion people share their voice online. After decades of TV, radio, control rooms, he now turns that know-how into easy-to-grasp lessons for Gen X beginning creators through YouTube, Creators Unstuck podcast, and a supportive Let's Get Live community. On his channel, you'll find fresh, practical breakdowns of tools and tactics he personally relies on, whether it's hands-on look inside 2025 travel tech bag, which I just did, and then a step-by-step fix for copyright safe background music, rapid reviews of Amaran Light." So it is pulling my latest content, right? It says, so your content will be maybe better focused towards this, but everything it said is 100% correct. It says, "My hallmark is simplifying the complicated using real world analogies, dad level jokes." You know what, ChatGPT? Kiss my butt. And then clear action steps to demystify cameras, AI tool workflows, and mindset. When he's not live on YouTube or speaking at events like Podcast Movement and NAB, you'll catch him cheering on Manchester United, testing gear for the next creator friendly reviews. 100% correct. 100% correct. This, if I gave this to Capsho, will make the Capsho output better. And that took me seconds while Ash was talking to you. Just think fast. I mean, not think fast. What is it called? Work smarter. There you go. Why do you say think fast? That was stupid.
Well, think fast, act fast. Like just everything is just fast now. Like it literally is at your fingertips. So I think that is 100% it. Like the number of times, again, I almost feel like everyone is on ChatGPT or they're on Claude, right? Like you've got one with Perplexity, you've got one of these platforms up. If you're kind of stuck, just a quick copy and paste off the screen into it. And then obviously, as Doc said, like the prompts don't need to be that complicated now because you've got so much information within all of these platforms. So even when we do this, I'll show you how I did it for literally setting up then the show. So you've set up your persona. That's so key. That is essentially the initial stage of like driving for Capsho. The cool thing is, and I should call this out, is that what we really wanted to do was like help compared to other platforms where you're going to probably do that, and a lot of them offer this now. We continually self-learn as you make edits to the to all of the content. So that's a great starting point. That helps me, like let's say in
Love
Doc's
that.
case, know a little bit about Doc. But then as Doc then makes further changes, it continues to pick that up, and then along with that persona continues to get better. So just kind of keep that in mind. But again, and more advanced stuff, we'll really touch on that tomorrow. So you've uploaded your file. It's sitting there. You can see this is our Who Dares Streams episode 2 chat, the Lamps eyebrow chat. When you click on get started, it presents you with 5 topics. So we have a look at the content that you've uploaded. Now, this was only a 10-minute file if you think about it. Like we went live for what, about an hour, 15, hour and 20. I chopped it down to the little 10-minute block. Obviously, throw in the hour and 20 if you want to create content from the whole stream. Like it's that flexible. You can still get great stuff out of a very small 5-10 minute clip, or you'll get great stuff out of an hour long show. One of the beauties is if you want to create focus content like this, because it's so specific, and we talked about a bunch of other stuff, by cutting this little block out, it's going to be looking at the lamp aesthetic eyebrow chat, not bringing in other knowledge around learning Ecamm, or in this case, like learning Capsho when we talk about something else. So you can kind of mix and match in that regard to get the best out of it. Gives you 5 topics. So it gives you a lot of choice there where we kind of look and go, look, you probably spoke about a bunch of stuff, but you might want to keep it quite general. The importance of lighting in interior design is very high level. It gives you an SEO score here. Green, obviously, there's a lot of availability. It's not as hard to rank for, let's say. Obviously, the color palette getting, the difficulty in terms of SEO ranking. Or you can dive in and it might provide some more specifics around, okay, aesthetics versus functionality of lamps. It's far more focused in terms of like that's the angle that you want to take your content down. So gives you some choices here. Or if you really want to go down the bottom and you go, look, Capsho, you've missed it. You're not hitting what I want to talk about. You can kind of just click on here, backspace it, and you're able to write your own topic in. And then that will paste through. But I think a lot of the time, these are great starting points. Click on your topic, hit next. It then gives another screen where you've got 5 choices for the premise. What we kind of did here was like the topic is great because that's very high level. But ultimately, I guess when you're on social media, especially, you want to have an angle. Like you don't want to be overly generic or general. I imagine that would be your case, Doc. You want to make sure that you've got a particular point of view on what you're saying.
And most people start too broad because they're afraid. Okay,
so
this is a very important point.
We've picked the topic, aesthetics versus functionality of lamps. Yeah.
No, this is a very important point because Ash just said something.
You just lost me?
No, I thought it was my audio. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So most of us go too broad because we're afraid that if we make the net too small, we're going to miss a bunch of fish. The problem with going too broad, though, is the net is so big it doesn't catch anything. So, for instance, I know that I'll use Lala as an example. Lala is working with crafting, but crafting is such a broad subject matter that if you just said, oh, I'm just a crafter, that's not an answer. You need to know better. Are you a paper crafter? Are you a clay crafter? Are you a beadsmith? Or I don't know these proper terms. I'm speaking out of my echelon. But, you want to say, like, you don't say I'm a race car driver. You say I'm a sprint car driver or a NASCAR driver or an F1 driver. So get specific. And so with mine, I don't just say content creation coach. I specifically am a content creation coach for Gen X creators. I don't care what the kids do.
And that's, again, it gives that more and more information to get closer to ensure that that content is talking directly to your person. And that's the key part. That's really if you've got that nailed down, as Doc has, where he's like, he knows, hey, look, I don't want Gen Z. The Gen X is it. It's going to then repurpose the content that way so that when I find it, I'll vibe with it because I'm like, oh, you're speaking my language here, Doc. And the content creators.
Paul had a quick question, and this one is a good question because even I don't know the answer to this. Yeah. So to confirm, you can just drop YouTube video links as 10 items for your persona?
No.
Yeah,
so
I don't think so.
In the persona,
it says
links
written.
Don't work.
Legit says
if you
written
had 10
in the
links,
instructions.
if you have 10 links, open those links and copy and paste the description. So it's not about the content as such. You don't need to train it with your content. What you're training it is the YouTube titles and descriptions, the Instagram posts, the LinkedIn posts, the LinkedIn articles, blog posts, like whatever is your content beyond the sphere of the video you're posting or the live stream. Think of it as your written tone of voice. Yes. Anywhere that you show up with written content, that's what you want to kind of tell Capsho, because that's what it's really doing. It's taking all that great stuff that we've spoken and then repurposing it in now to brilliant written marketing content.
And that's brilliant, people. So if you don't have those descriptions, you can legit just take the transcripts from, I would, YouTube transcripts kind of trash, but you can take the transcripts and then give them to your favorite bot and have it help you write titles and descriptions and then use that. If you're like a
Gosh.
heavy planner like Marion, you probably already have a spreadsheet that has your titles and descriptions. So yeah, you want to put physical text in those boxes. That'll work for you. But there are ways to extract that. We can go through that in the group so we don't spend too much time on it here.
Yeah,
I'll show you how
exactly.
I do
Yes,
it.
there are ways to get it out. So hit your written content. But as Doc said, this is really great because when you're picking the premise, it's the angle you want to go down. So you look at this and you go, like, lamps are the eyebrows of the rooms as a choice. That's then very particular. All the content is about how Doc loves exposed bulbs. And now your content is very focused compared to just being very general around
That sounded a
aesthetic
little
versus
ribald.
function. Right? Um, The only other call out I will say is like play around to if you want like eyebrow grooming and maintenance. You can see very different to light bulb. So it's going, well, you did talk about eyebrows. Maybe you want to create content on that. When you click on the premise, you can see that these are different. So the premises match with the topics that you've selected. So let's say we're going to go aesthetic for lamps. We're going to say exposed bulbs because I know you loved exposed bulbs, Doc. You don't
Yes,
love a shade.
Edison
Now,
lamps.
this is the part. Now, ask me, the last section here for everyone is it asks you to customize your CTA. So we put this in because ultimately, if you think about it, all of that other content is to drive back to your rewatch the live stream or watch your next live stream because you're promoting it ahead of time. We want to know because again, AI can't read your mind. What do you want the next action your ultimate your target audience, your user, your reader, your viewer to take? So that's kind of where this is. So for example, if I'm going to produce a social media post and I want them to come to this like day 5 tomorrow, this is what I would put in so that's really explicit to say, you know, please like make sure turn up to day 5 of our Who Dare streams, you know, fake show. That's what would go in here. And then the context is giving a little bit of understanding as to what does that mean essentially. Like again, if you think about that, all your CTAs are not going to, they make sense to you, but they might not make sense to anybody else. That's what the context for this action essentially is. But Doc, what question do you have? Because you were saying this is the part that sometimes doesn't make the most sense to you.
Yeah. So I just thought of it now because you said like this is where you put the call to action. So on yesterday's video that I made on my channel, I was talking about what's in my travel bag because I'm ready to go. What the heck did I do with the bag?
Yeah.
Oh, it's out there by the suitcase. Anyway, and I wanted to, set up the call to action. So now I remember my call to action was tell me what people had in their bag, and then to remember to
Yep.
grab the links if they saw anything that they wanted to buy. So, because that those affiliate commissions help me keep the channel going. So that would be the call to action. I think that
That would
the
be it.
context is the part that messes my brain.
So I'll show you what I did. So I set up, so I've got like I do the podcast with my brother. I create fake ads through the podcast. So we technically, and I'm building out this site. Hopefully I can get it and up even before this challenge finishes. But essentially we have this fake brand called the Clark Brothers, and we just produce random nonsensical brands, right? So that's what I essentially seed all of this test content with. And so all I did was I have this thread in ChatGPT where I've, created. If you don't have the content, I needed to seed something the other day. I just got it to write 5 social media posts for the brand because it knows a little bit about it. Given that, I just literally put it in here. Here's the premise. So light lamps are the eyebrows for rooms. And then that copy and paste, which is that section, which is the call to action for the content and the action, and then this is what it produced. So again, you might not have an activity where like you want them to go to a video or you don't want them to go. You just might want to use it for engagement. Here it said, hey, look, what's one item in your space that technically serves a purpose, but let's be real, just love how it looks. You just love how it looks. So that's essentially you want that question to be at the end of all your content. And then it just says, hey, look, we're playing with the idea that lamps like eyebrows do more than serve a function. So it just gives that little bit more knowledge to the AI as it's running to go, this is why we're asking for this question to go out and trying to get the engagement from the audience.
Like it. I like that. I
Um,
like that. Just using the tools to make this easier for you.
Yes. Yeah. So even looking at that, going, okay, look, we probably maybe, I shouldn't promise anything, but again, having a little bubble there that just can kind of give you that little help and impetus. But again, you've probably always got ChatGPT open or Claude. Just do a quick copy and paste, tell it, hey, I want this for my brand. Boom, it'll fill this in for you real quick. So you fill in all of this, you pick your topic, you pick your premise, you throw your CTAs in. The applied changes will go live, and then that's when Capsho roars into action, and we start to kind of create then the actual breadth of marketing material from the seed content that you've kind of put in. So I'm not going to wait and bore you with that. Once you've done that, then it moves into the next stage and it's ready for you to edit. So you click into your file and you'll see here all the different platforms that you have now access to create content to repurpose for. We're just going to focus on title and description today. We'll get into everything else tomorrow and show you how that works. But I say that because, again, like if you look at this, I know for myself, sometimes you're like, oh my God, I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on Facebook. I should have a blog. We should all do a lot of things, but it takes time. It's no different to Ecamm. I was just thinking, I'm like, if you're at that different level, like a lot of what Doc's telling you in the last 3 days, I'm like, okay, you can take advantage of that. Whereas for me starting out, I'm like, no, I'm just going to start small. Like I'm going to work up to all that cool stuff he said, but I'm like, okay, what is just the starting point so I can get going? And a lot of the time, well, right now we know it is, well, you've got a podcast or you've got a video on YouTube, you need a title and description for it. Just start with that in terms of understanding how Capsho works. So you can kind of see here, I think when it defaults, your podcast will be kind of starting up. You click on YouTube, it'll have a little, what would you call it? What happens when it kind of like notifies you? Almost like a little alert. It just asks, do you want to create some YouTube content? Just click OK. And then it will write for you. Oh, click the little pencil. And then it will write for you a title at the top, a description, and then some content here now, and then some timestamps. So your key moments brought down. So again, those kind of what are they called, Doc? Where you drop them
The
into your
timestamps.
YouTube. Yeah, is it
Yeah.
just it's just timestamps,
Yeah.
and then obviously it's cutting your video up, so it's optimized for that. And obviously it's got it's pulled out our call to action. So I didn't put that in, but it's listened to it, and obviously Doc at the end said, hey, come to ecamm.com, capsho.com. It's pulled that out as a quote there. So this is essentially what it's producing for you. We've worked with different experts for all the different marketing content, but ultimately the self-learning was in place because we found in the past everyone does it differently. Like what Doc likes to do for his channel and his content is going to be different to me, different to someone else. We all might work off a similar premise of how something should be written. But when we built the hard and fast into it, it obviously becomes quite restrictive. So you'll kind of see it's kind of very open and quite broad. You might look at it and go, oh, no, I wouldn't do that. That's fine. That's where I really say that almost the first 4 or 5 uploads is so critical because that's really getting into the teaching of Capsho. So then by you
Yes.
making these edits, spending that little bit of extra time really then helps that future content get even better and closer
Yes.
to how you like it structured and worded.
Super important, people. Most people, when they started playing around with the generative AI tools, they like, oh, it kind of gets me, but it's only like 50% there. Well, how many times did you do it? Oh, I did it like 3 times. That's not enough. Your person that you work with doesn't know how to talk to you after you only talk to them 3 times. You deal with them every day, and then they make minor adjustments to learn how to deal with you. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like people, or you trying to figure out your kids when they're going through different mood swings. You have to, give it the info to get there. So I would say it took about 5 to 10 times, and that's because I do make various types of content. Right? I have stuff for my channel, stuff for the Ecamm channel, stuff for producing things for someone else. And so yeah, it took it a minute, but once it got it, it nails it. So don't give up too early. Just keep trying. Yeah. So Paul had a
And
good
I think
question before we
that's,
go back in. It says, if
yeah.
you accidentally mark yourself as a guest, can you undo that without having to re-upload?
if you accidentally mark yourself as a guest, as in
I
like
don't
he's
know how
marked.
he did it, but that's Paul. This is what he does.
Oh, you're talking. I think Paul's saying like he's created the content for from the guest perspective. If you've uploaded it fully, no, you'd have to re-upload it. But if you are in the process of filling all of that in, and then you realize that you're in the wrong space, then you can definitely kind of exit out and start again. But yeah, if you've started the upload, Paul, that's now you are now the guest on that show. I think that answers the question.
There you go. You're the guest of your own
Um,
show.
you were the guest of your own show. Again, and it's not bad because it's still just looking for who is the person producing the most amount of value in that episode. So if Paul is still the person, it's still going to be from the perspective of Paul. It just might talk about you in a different,
Was
yeah,
that tone
it
of
might be
voice? Yeah.
weird. Yeah.
Passive tense.
So, and I've just clicked on the side there, should have shown that for each of the title and description, whether it be podcast or YouTube, you get options. So shedding light on the lamp dilemma, fashion or function was what it defaulted to. But essentially, if you open it up, you can kind of click around and it gives you 5 different options. Monty, our little sloth mascot, he jumps in here. He'll give you a little bit of his thought, and he's basically going to tell you why he believes the one that was selected was the best one for your content.
So good.
Always fascinated to know how good Monty is on that.
I just think it's cool that it goes in and it gives you like various ideas, because one thing that's really cool about YouTube, you can go in and change it later. So like you pop your video, you give it a week to shine, and then go in and change the title. And then
Yeah.
let it give it another week or so, then go in and change the title and give it a week or so. And then one of them might trigger. You could have content on your channel right now that's been there for like a year, and you like, I poured my heart and soul out into this video, but it didn't get the views I think it deserves. First of all, you don't deserve any views. You earned them, but people are people. Go change the title. Because title and thumbnail is what drag people to your video. So if you have an epic video and no one's watching it, Doc would tell you the truth. Your title and thumbnail suck. That's the only answer. There's no algorithm did this, or Mercury was in retrograde because planets can't go freaking backwards. You have a crappy title and thumbnail. End of story. So fix it, and you'd be surprised. I've watched people. One of my students popped a video that he created almost 2 years prior, but the info was still solid. Changed the title and thumbnail and got like 40,000 views on it.
100%. I was going to say we've had so many people do that where they just put their back catalog in and just refresh titles, show notes, and the uplift and how that gains them that much more visibility. Because again, a lot of what they've done from 5 years ago, that pre-AI realm, it's now so easy to just give it it's like a fresh coat of paint, right? And then
Yes.
to Doc's point, you get to see what works. You now get to play around because you can so quickly. So it's start with one, and if it doesn't work, play with one of the others. Like, yeah, test it, do something. I've just clicked into the podcast one here just to show that you can kind of see it's, again, both the titles and descriptions, but they are quite different. They give you different types of content as a starting point. Again, it's all there for you to play and set it up in your own realm. The call out now, actually, one thing I should show you before I start to show you the self-learning is at the bottom. In the podcast, I think only in the podcast title and description. I don't think this shows up in YouTube. If you click the plus button, so you'll see here in the editor, you'll have the drag and drop and the plus. You can get the transcript from the podcast title and description. So if you click on transcript, we don't automatically default that, but that will give you the full transcript of your episode at the bottom of this asset. So
Whoa.
to Doc's point, even if you're using Capsho, you don't have that starting point and you need the transcript somewhere else, you can then take it from here and then put into ChatGPT, for example. So
I didn't know that.
no, and I was just thinking that I'm like, we have hidden that one. That's on us. There's a bunch of stuff. There's some chapter summaries, there's some key moments, and there's the transcript in here. But again, we tried to like reduce the overwhelm. Like that's what we found in the first version, that we gave everything to everybody, and it kind of makes it like, oh my God, this is great, but like, what do I do with it? Because I'm barely starting out in the first place. So we probably hid that too deep, but the transcript is hiding there in the podcast title and description.
Ooh, and I just realized that you can move segments up and down.
Yeah.
I never pressed that.
I don't think anyone does. Even I don't sometimes play with that as
Oh,
often.
that's
So,
cool. Well, see that
so
because it
there's a
makes
nice
it
little.
really helpful. Well, okay, because if you figure you're using the blog post editor, then they're still built off the same thing. So of course it works in the blog post because that's where you would use it. But you could also use it if you're trying to make your show notes have a similar style. And if
Yep,
it, just borks one day, you can just move things around. That is kind of
exactly.
clutch. It's
So
kind
yeah,
of
so I'm
clutch.
glad. I'm glad. Look. I'm glad you're learning some stuff too, Doc. And
Listen,
I think that's the beauty, right? Is like for everyone who's new, I would say again, like get in there, play with it. You can't break it. We can always like get back, create new personas. So a number of time people start up a persona and go, "Oh, I messed up here." It's cool. Like start up a new one. There's no limit at the moment on that. So you can always get back to square one. And that's what allows you then to kind of, in Doc's case, to go, actually, you can learn about the little small nuances because you kind of have the foundations down. And at the moment, the foundations are the things that matter, like knowing that what you can get extra and what you can move up and down, irrelevant if just like getting good quality content and editing it is your starting point. So,
this is
fine.
really, really good. Like legit,
Okay.
folks, is really good. And I just want to point out something too that I have used is using the editor. It's right there on the top where you says use the editor. That's where you go in and basically you make changes and a lot of these tools that are out there, you can't make changes. Like you're basically take the output and you got to move it into something else and goof around. But here you can make changes yourself. And then I don't know. Do you guys
And
remember the changes we
recommendation.
make or no?
And that's what I was going to say. Like, that's the thing is that, like, the changes matter. So, a lot of times, even if you're going out and for whatever reason you prefer to edit somewhere else, I would then say you put the edits back in here because this button at the top, mark as complete, that is your key friend at the end of it. That is how you tell Capsho, hey, I've made some edits here. Learn what's on the page. So, if, for example, we just went like, we don't like this is not relevant to us, we're going to delete that. Um, I'm actually tomorrow I'll show a couple of updates because there's another account where the classic thing is you might have particular like sayings you might like to lead in or out, etc. That's what it'll basically help teach it. But like if we make, the I'm not gonna upload it, the great. And this way, I don't know how to type anymore because I just use ChatGPT or some kind of
You
generative
and me
AI.
both.
The great debate is lamps versus eyebrows, whatever, right? And obviously, imagine we made far more substantial updates to this because that's what would be the case in any situation. You then hit this little button, markers complete. Monty pops up and goes, "Look at this. It's now again, congrats, because again, you're making that step to getting this content published. We've learned. So basically, you can keep editing, but we now know that hey, there's a bunch of edits here. If you make any more changes, don't worry. You don't have to hit it again. We now know that you have basically taken this into now draft into like edited complete mode. So you just keep making your changes here. Now, when you upload the next file, we know that the YouTube description, you've made some updates. We apply that to that content. So it is very content specific. It doesn't go like the YouTube updates you make don't affect your blog post or your Instagram captions. They are very platform and content format like specific in that vertical. So that way you can make changes to one and have maybe a completely different tone of voice in another, and it will learn it and keep them very separate and siloed to your target audience.
This is clutch. This is super, super clutch. People, the key element here is that we get in here and we play around and we do stuff. And the other key element, if you find something that, you're curious or you don't really understand, office hours is there to help you. And then if you have any updates or whatever you would like to make, then, pass that through. Because it's like you just don't know, right? And a lot of times when you're coding, you're working on a particular machine or a particular browser, or you're doing something, so you know how it works on your machines, and you try to test out different development situations, but you always can't tell. So sometimes it might be a minor thing that you see. Please let us know because this is how we got Ecamm fixed to the way we got it now. Is we took a lot of input from users as what they do. Chris says, there are two of us on our show. Is there a way to set this up for two hosts every time? Well, I can tell you what I did, and then Ash can tell me I did it wrong. I'll tell you what I did.
All right.
I took a bunch of assets from myself and Mary Lou, and I went to ChatGPT and I said, build a brand persona from this content that is both me and Mary Lou. And it became one person because although you and your show host are together and you do have individual personalities, your show in itself is a brand and a personality. So we have a persona that is Creators Unstuck, but that persona is a perfect meld of both of us. And it's basically sweet and sour. Guess which one is sweet? It's not me. And so it knows that like I'll put my foot clean up your buttocks and Mary Lou will come in and pat you on the shoulder and be like, it's okay, let's get you back. It's okay, it's safe. It's safe now. Let me hug you. And it's really cool. That's what I did. I don't know if that's the right way to did it. I don't know if that's the right way to did it. But that's how I did it without any thought process because to me it made the most sense to let the brand itself have a brand. And I guess the way you could put that in sense today is, the Celtics is a little bit of Jason Tatum and a little bit of Jrue and a little bit of Brown and a little bit of Horford, but and let's not forget Pritchard. Those people make the world champions almost ready to hit back to back because we just moved on to the next. Never mind. You know what it is. So, yeah. Is that the right way to do it, Ash, or should I have done it differently?
No, 100%, because I think that's the thing. Like, you kind of get caught up. And I would say, because I always think about it and I'm like, I think like you don't then create content downstream talking back and forth with different people. Like, so again, with me and my brother, we are very different. But when we could go out, we are the Clark brothers. Like, that's why we have that overarching umbrella brand, because it wouldn't kind of have a blog where there's a little bit of Ash's tone of voice and a little bit of Jared's. That would be confusing to the end user. You're creating, you know who your target audience is for that show, that you have that combination. And if it's just a case, and so as Doc did, is perfect to literally that create that melded entity for the persona, because it's really that's if you think about the persona is really driving that like target audience. Who is it that you're truly trying to reach, and how, like, what is the pain that they're feeling so that you can create content that speaks to them, that they want to come to you. So that kind of combination that Doc just described is perfect at the persona level. If it's the case of like, oh, I love to say like Doc and Mary Lou or Ash and Jared in the actual content, but it's just picking up Ash as the host, that's where the self-learning comes in. So if there is, because I'm assuming you're constantly referencing um, names in the content,
Yes.
make those edits, mark it as complete. That's what kind of starts to show it that, okay, yes, there's a brand. The host or create the persona as, Chris and whoever, Doc and Mary Lou. Like, the name of the thing now is, again, it's kind of thinking about it, because you kind of think of yourself as that way. You are two entities, but the brand, as Doc said, is Doc and Mary Lou. So you can just kind of make that the host name, essentially. Don't get too caught up on, but it's two people. Will it? No, it'll definitely work out if you
Yeah,
have
here,
guests on your
let me
show
try
as well.
something. I don't know if this makes any sense, Chris. Think of it like this, Chris. What did Nona instill in you as the Maselli family values? It's almost like that, right? Nona came up with the values and you guys got to do it. Otherwise, she'll be upside your head because I grew up in New York. I know how Nonas are. But it was almost sort of like that. You know what I mean? It's like you're taking your show value of you and your co-host and you're almost coming up with what is Nona's family values for you guys. So my persona is Creators Unstuck, and then describe yourself is podcasters, content creators, and coach. We're empowering creators to remove roadblocks, and then our audience is podcasters, YouTubers, content creators, and get unstuck, transform creativity into action, grow, sell more, earn more, create more, be more. That was basically what we came up with. As far as the prompts I did to get to that, Chris, what I can do is I'll make a video and put it in the, what's that thing called? Facebook group. So that way you can see, because then I'm sure you're not the only one with that question. So we'll make it that way, and it's a little bit better. And nowadays, I have chat make the prompts for me. I'll show you how. I have a video on my channel if you want to dive deep, deep, deep. It's basically video from Thursday and Friday of last week. And then I did it as a live stream on Saturday. It's a lot, but if you want, that's the deep dive. But I'll do a precursory one for the Facebook group. This is so good. That was a good question. That was a good question, Chris.
That is good, yeah. Because I mean, I have the same problem. Like that's the thing. A lot of us do a show like that. There's again workarounds.
The funny thing is when I told Chris about the known as family values, if he's any normal boy, he probably ducked a little bit, waiting for that slipper to come, slipper to come flying across the room. Because definitely, I caught that slipper a lot, and it was actually my grandma liked Chuck Taylors, so they actually hurt more than slippers.
Chuck Taylors, are they? What are they? They're not
Converse. You guys call them Converse, right? You know, the standard black Converse.
Yeah,
like
that's heavy rubber.
Yeah, she's like, oh, they're good for the feet. Plus, you gotta walk around in the city and catch the train all the time. So she would put those in the bag and then change shoes wherever she got to where she's going. But when we got hit, oftentimes you was getting hit with the Chucks.
Feeling that.
It's like pap. Ugh. My grandma was a nurse, so she always was on her feet. So question for Ash. Sometime soon, please has the ability to choose British, Australian English versus U.S. English.
Look, I love that because I'm not a fan of putting Z onto analyze and all those kind of words, or dropping the U out of favor and whatnot. So okay, I'll take that on board. I'll note that definitely down for Marianne.
Oh, what the heck is a Zed? I'm joking. I know what it is. Zed is an artist, musician. A couple years back, had a really dope song about Meet Me in the Middle.
Yeah, what happened to Zed? But yeah, so look, I mean, ultimately for today, like I said, we'll go into a lot more detail tomorrow around all the other stuff. Obviously, if people are in there, click on some stuff, generate them, but really focus. I mean, that's today's dare, right? Get your free trial of Capsho, take your video file. Ideally, throw in something from before or what you literally did for yesterday's dare when you went live, or on the Tuesday. Chuck that video in like we did and generate you some titles and descriptions for YouTube. It's as simple as that.
Really good, people. It's so much fun. I've even thrown just audio files that I made talking to myself, because I needed some ideas, right? And I just wondered what it would come up with. So I legit just made audio files talking to myself. And then it's like, if I wanted to build this podcast and I need a description of what this podcast would be, I just did it as like a sample episode, and then I threw it at it, and it gave me the title and description. So as I submitted my podcast to Apple, the podcast description for Creators Unstuck was created by Capsho, because I just did it as a sample of what I thought the show was. And yeah, it's really, really cool. So you're going to have a lot of fun with that. And then let's make sure we get you to the right thing. The word for today is click.
And I think it's good because we are drawing tomorrow. I think we've had about 5 or 6 people have triple bingoed. I'm Spotify.
Somebody with triple bingo?
We've got triple bingo. I think we've had about 8, 9 people have double bingoed, 13. I think that's it. So if everyone there, it's exciting. I think single bingo gets you an entry to the ObSpot draw. Triple bingo gives you 3 entries, and then if you've won double bingo, you're in the draw for the $30 merch packs for Who Dares streams and Ecamm. So man, this is the last day. You've got to absolutely rip in. How would you use this one in a sentence, Doc? Spotify.
When Chris said I have quadruple, when you see Katie and Paul and Ash yesterday on the stream, all 3 of those human beings have been Spotified, because they were all using Meet cameras in order to do their thing. Every single one of them. Wait, yours is a tiny, not a Meet, but everybody else has a Meet. Anyway, this is how good.
No. I think I've got a Meet as well. I've got a Meet
the
too.
square
Is
one?
that right?
The square one.
Yeah, it's a little
white, green, or
Meet
black?
too. It looks
okay.
Green.
You guys got
gorgeous.
all of you guys have been Meet. You had your Meet Spotified.
It takes up no space. I'm blown away by how good I look on the stream. Before I'm having to get a whole big Sony camera and a
That camera
tripod
is
and
about
lug
this
stuff.
big. This is my SSD, but that camera is roughly the same size. And when
Yeah.
you talk about what should go in a travel bag, right? I don't have a meat yet, but I think I should get one because I have enough space in the bag to stuff it in. Because this all you need to take on a trip, right? Instead of a
Yeah.
big. Look, these are my options.
Do
I
you
was
have
buying
pockets in your
tail,
pants?
tail,
Do you,
or the meat. Like, which one do you want to
yeah, no,
carry in your
some meat
suitcase?
every
This
day of the
sucker's
week.
3 pounds, bro.
No, seriously. The meat would fit in your pocket. It is so small. I would
Yeah.
lose it potentially.
You know what'd be funny? We should come up with an accessory where, like, when you're traveling, you don't want to. You have limited stuff you can carry. Just make a watch band for it
Yeah,
or a little necklace, so you can just wear it.
100%.
That's part of your jewelry, and then you can just use it when you get where you're going. Actually, that's a cool idea. Next time I come to one of these podcast shows, have the laptop running in the back, USB cable over the shoulder, and have
Straight
the meat
over.
in like Iron Man position, just like live streaming
Yeah.
from the chest or from the forehead.
Yeah. That's what I mean. 24-hour stream then of Doc.
POV, walking around podcast place. All right, gang, you know what it is. Let's do our random little doohickey here. Let me get over to this. I didn't change the doohickey today, but I can fix this real quick.
Do one of these, Doc. Let's go with the people. Let's just fire this sucker up.
Oh, do the people one? Okay.
Yeah, let's do the people one.
Marianne, are you on your computer or are you on your phone? Let us know. We're going to do one for the people. Here we go. Spin to win.
And I've got some. Actually, I'll have to talk to you guys. I created some fun Doc yelling out bingo. I finally put that together, so we'll have to drop that in the group. What does that say? Elevators and small talk.
I'm scared. Is there awkward silence in in the elevator? Is it better or worse than small talk? Okay, I like this one. I have very, I have very good ideas with it. So again, this is for everybody playing along at home. If you're typing in the chat, is the awkward silence in the elevator better or worse than forced small talk? Okay, let's go. Let's go. Beach blanket bingo. Breathe it out. Woosah. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me set the scene. You are in the elevator, and there's just you and one other person. It's dead silence. Is holding that dead silence for 40 floors better or worse than generating small talk? One last thing. Is it different when it's your apartment or condo elevator versus your work elevator versus a strange building? I want to know what you have to say about that, Ash, on this edition of Who Dare Stream with Doc and Ash.
I'm glad you brought that up because I feel like context is so important here. Because I'm thinking of all the different elevators I've been in, and I'm like, sometimes maybe it's weird to just start a conversation, and the silence is better, and then other times you've seen the person so many times it feels rude to remain in silence. So I'm with you. I think especially and 40 floors as well. It's the length of the elevator ride. If I'm jumping from three to ground, get away with it. But you're sitting there and someone else on the lift is, you've got 5 different, floors that people are getting on and off. I think, look, I'm going to go with the awkward silence is my preferred method. I think there's something beautiful in some awkward silence sometimes. There's something amusing in that occasionally that put a smile on your face. I think it's the awkward small talk or the forced small talk. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to say actually, no, I think it's probably if you're in your apartment or condo, you're more likely to probably strike up a chat because there's a bit of commonality. Some shit that's going on in your apartment. There's dogs or there's other like bits and bobs or takeaway food. But if you're at work, just sit in silence. I don't know you.
Yeah, so I think it's the context, right? When I am in my condo elevator and I have a tall condo, which is why I brought it up. It's only 48 floors, but it's nothing like being in that long elevator ride and saying nothing with somebody you see all the time. That's a little weird,
Yeah.
right? When what I'll do to just let them know that it's safe to talk to me is I'll talk to their dog or their child first. Right? So like one of my neighbors who I used to see all the time, and she gave the vibe of one of those introverted people. And I wanted to let her know that it was okay. I would say, hey, you getting ready to go out for your walk? Are you excited? And the dog would be like, the dog is all excited or whatever. And then I was like, what's your name, little guy? And then, the lady said the dog's name. And it's like, oh, man, I always see you guys every day. Your dog is so happy and smiley. I think it's like the coolest thing because some dogs look like, I just can't wait to get outside to pee. But your dog always looks like it could talk to people. It has a smile 24/7. And now we're super close with this lady. Like just break the ice. The other thing I like to do when there's little kids, especially when there's like little boys in the elevator and they look a little timid or scared, is I'll just like act like I turn away, but I'll cut eyes at them and I'll be like, and little boys just lose it automatically. And they're like, ew, and then it's funny, and then the parents laugh, And so a lot of times you catch if you make the little kid laugh or smile, you'll get a crack out of the parents. And I go around all day trying to make strangers smile. Like Paul would tell you, I mess with people 24/7 because if I can be the person that helps someone change their mood from like a crappy day to a better day, I'm going to throw that. You know what I mean? I don't go to Starbucks without giving a compliment to my baristas because the two people just before them was like, this coffee is messed up. I don't even like Starbucks. Then why? Don't tell them. That's not their, if they screwed it up, they'll make you a new one, but don't be an a-hole about it. You know what I mean? So yeah. I go out of my way to be nice to hotel workers or restaurant people or whatever. So I also do the same thing with folks in the elevator. I try to give them something to smile about when they leave the elevator. So fake farting for little boys is good.
I know. I love the fact that that's it. You can't go wrong with a fart joke. Like the fact that that's it. You're always pulling the parent as well. What about, okay, so I'm now the only other than wrinkle because like you said, pets and kids, so the gateway is there. If the gateway's not there, where are you landing if it's just you and
I love sneakers.
The mom.
I love sneakers. I'll be like, damn, those are nice kicks. Are they comfortable? And they're like, yeah. And then, give them something to talk about themselves. I mean, but yeah. I've been an entertainer for a long time. I've had to sit there on the show and stall because Casey and JoJo are doing lines in the hotel instead of being on stage when they're supposed to be. So I have to like keep 30,000 people entertained for an extra hour. So I just use that, and my buddy Lanai and I, we're both just good at just catching people and saying random things. So I'll compliment, shoes, haircut, or if I see them, eating something new, I'm like, yo, like we go on vacation, right? Paul and I were just in Vegas. I saw somebody come in the elevator, and they got the bag from Tacos Gordos. And I'll be like, yo, Tacos Gordos, what'd you think? And they're like, oh, we go here all the time. And I'm like, yeah, when I come to Vegas, it's one of my stops. Like, I don't live here, but my God, it's so good. And they're like, yeah, next time you go, you should try the lingua. And I'm like, okay, cool, So I just like to break the ice. I think it's better if you can make people smile. And this is going to sound mean, and I'm sorry, I'm not throwing shade at anybody. I think you being quote-unquote introvert, number one, is BS because nobody's an introvert or an extrovert. Every human on the planet is an ambivert. You pick which lane according to your present company. But it seems to me right now when the world is so pissy, keeping to yourself is selfish. Making somebody else's day changes. Then you might change the life of 7, 8 other people just by making one person happy. You piss one person off, you're going to get 7, 8 other people pissed off because that person's going to take it out on them. So I just try to spread good.
Oh, I love that. I think you're 100% right. Like you said, it's all about making someone smile. Like you give someone a compliment. Anytime you get told you've made a good choice in life, it's gonna put a smile on your face, right?
Jim, I'm stealing this one. Jim, I am stealing this. Oh my God. Jim just made my day. Every time I get in the elevator with other people, as soon as the door's shut, I turn around and say, now you're probably wondering why I called this meeting. Oh my God, Jim, I love you. I am stealing that. That is so good. It is so good. It's always be nice to telephone customer service reps because they get all of the smoke. Yeah. So like when I get a customer service rep and they're like in the Philippines, right? I know enough Tagalog to say stuff to them that cracks them up every time. Automatically changes the role. You know what I mean? things like that. Yes. And it said, Doc, I just wanted to let you know that thumbnail was hard to see colors and text. Which thumbnail? I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, I'll figure that out myself. Depends on what they smell like. Ashby, that's too hilarious. That's too hilarious. And Carolyn said, I totally agree. Oh my God, cologne in the sillage, that breaks me every time. That's when I can't say anything because I'm busy holding my breath. Can't, dude. When people let your cologne dry all the way down, that's a term, dry down, before you go in the elevator, because that sillage will ruin someone's day. And I have a big ass nose, so it stays in there for a minute. Man, this is so good. That's a good topic generation right there, because that definitely happens all the time. You get in the elevator, or the one I find is funny, like Jim said, when you're in a hotel and like you go to a conference, there's a lot of times the conference ends at the same time. So you might run into the same person in the elevator like 2 or 3 days in a row. Yeah. And I'll be like, listen, am I going to, especially because I'm bigger than most people, right? It'll be like a small person in the elevator, you know, a Bonner-sized person. And I got to be like, listen, am I going to have to get security? And they're like, what? I mean, you be following me. Every time I come in this elevator, you're right behind me. Like, do I got to watch my six? Is there anything I should know? Like, are you a private detective? They just start laughing every time. Like, so I always like to do stuff like that. So that's super funny. That's good, Ash. Man, thanks for sharing Capsho today. And I mean, it's kind of crazy. Like, I've used Capsho hundreds of times, and you still learn something. And I think that's what I like about this thing that we do with content creating, is that it's an ever-moving target. So you can always add a little more. You can always squeeze a little bit more blood orange out the orange.
But like I said, it's just like there's always something more to squeeze. But if you haven't started squeezing, squeeze a little bit. Don't try and squeeze the whole orange or lemon in one go.
In one go, it ain't gonna work.
Pace yourself, and then, you know, the only thing, because I know I showed it a little bit the other day, and now we've moved on to Capsho. I really implore everyone, like, play around with Capsho, because what we've found now over the journey, and like almost why we built Toolie, is people are falling into one bucket. You're a Capsho person, you're probably going to be a Capsho plus Toolie, or you're going to be a Toolie person. Like, in the content creation space, it's going to be one of those. And like, now, like, learn where you sit by like playing over the next 7 days. Just use the heck out of Capsho, muck around with it, because you'll either go, this is great, this works for your purpose, or actually it doesn't need to do as much. And then that's where kind of Toolie comes in, where it becomes really hyper-focused and it just really nails down certain little bits and pieces. So I just go, play around with Capsho now. I've got something exciting to show you tomorrow, Doc. You're talking thumbnails coming potentially. So we'll get to that tomorrow too.
Dude, I love it. You know what they say? I like to either be a digital Leatherman, or my favorite terminology, I used to put it on my resume, is I am a Swiss Army nerd. Like, I can nerd in all myriad sorts of things, like those little pocket knives we had back in the day.
So good.
And just play, man. Play and figure it out. And I said it earlier, don't be afraid to press buttons, because that's really how you're going to get in. So don't forget your dare. We dare you. We dare you. I wouldn't suggest squeezing the person in the elevator. Come on, Paul. Go get your Capsho trial. Make sure you try it out. Go have some fun. And then, Chris, as soon as I can finish up my task over here today, I'll drop some of that prompt ideas into the Facebook group so that you can see what we're doing here. Right? I really appreciate all you guys. Marianne says, I said, Capsho is like all you can eat seafood buffet, and two is just getting the crab claws and the scrimps.
And that's exactly right. I don't know whether she wanted chips, she wanted shrimp there, but she wanted something, but she was focused. So
chips,
I agree with you there.
Potatoes? French
chips
fries?
And potatoes. Yeah, exactly. Okay. French fries, hot chips. Chips.
This is why we need to add the Aussie English translator to the damn thing.
100%.
And then they're prawns, is what Ash told me. They're prawns. They're not shrimp. All right, gang. You know what it is time for? This is my favorite part. Wait. Here we go. All right, guys. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Oh, my picture. My song is missing.
And that's how you stream with Doc and Ash. that's how you stream with